The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. I'm your reigning, defending, undisputed host, Sexy Thor, and this is episode 16 of The Ring of Thunder. On Raw, Randy Orton kicked off the show gloating about defeating Edge in the greatest wrestling match ever, and sending him home with that torn tricep, and wanted to thank him for reminding him what it's like to be the Legend Killer. Christian came out to be like, "What the fuck, Randy?" And Randy tried to turn it around on him and challenged Christian to an unsanctioned match. It has to be unsanctioned because Christian is still not medically cleared to compete for quite a few years now due to his concussion history. Kevin Owens defeated Angel Garza, which further contributed to the trouble in paradise with Garza, Andrade, and Zelina Vega. Andrade came out while the match was going on to quote-unquote support Angel, but they ended up squabbling, so Zelina walked out and came back once the match was over to get them back in line. Bobby Lashley and MVP came out to address the situation from the previous night and put the blame squarely on Lana, which isn't the furthest thing from the truth. Lana came out and blamed MVP, but Bobby took MVP's side, of course, and told Lana he wants a divorce. Well, that's one 2020 problem about to be solved. We're on the way to a long healing process. So, the Viking Prophets, silly me, defeated Akira Tozawa and his ninjas. Then he brought out the big ninja, and the Viking Prophets huddled together to discuss a plan. Then Montez Ford yelled, "You done messed up now!" Then the Big Show came to their aid, just randomly. No Easter eggs or, illusions or anything to be, or hints. He showed up and came to their aid and chased off Tozawa and the Giant. First off, this is the show's 35th face turn this year, and he's only been on WWE television twice, depending on, if you count his little WrestleMania appearance along with helping out Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens with the Monday Night Messiah, so like 2 or 3 times. And second, I can't even comprehend this Viking Prophets cinematic universe, but I love it. Seth Rollins came to the ring to wait for Rey Mysterio's son Dominic to give him a chance to join him or be a sacrifice when Rey talked to Seth via satellite and warned him to stay away from his son. While Seth was running his mouth, he got on his knees and Dominic snuck up behind him and hit him with a lariat on the back of the neck and flung him into the steel steps. He dodged Murphy and Theory and made his escape through the WWE universe. Even though Dom went to Raw against Rey's wishes, Rey must be hella proud. The Iconics defeated Liv Morgan and Natalya, even though Liv had Billie Kay in a surprise roll-up for 5 seconds, but the ref was distracted by one of Natalya's mistakes. But of course Natty blamed Liv and was telling her that it's no wonder Ruby Riott let her go, so that partnership dissolved. And Natty was just so mad that she built this women's division brick by brick for a bunch of ingrates. She found a new friend in Lana, who is feeling wronged by Lashley and MVP. They could easily be a team with Candice LeRae. The motivations all line up. Also, Christian accepts Randy Orton's challenge. Apollo Cruz turned down MVP's offer to be his manager. And the Drew McIntyre and R-Truth versus Bobby Lashley and MVP match later will be a winner-take-all for the WWE and 24/7 Championship. Truth was so excited that he was going to be the next Becky 2 Belts, and Drew had to explain how that doesn't work. Apollo Crews defeated Shelton Benjamin to retain his United States Championship by getting the surprise roll-up while having his arm around the rope to steady him after Shelton was caught putting his feet on the rope when he tried to roll Apollo up. R-Truth did what he thought was making everything better and talked to the powers that be, and now only the WWE Championship is on the line. Facepalm. We can all breathe again, because Drew and Truth defeated Lashley and MVP, so Drew is still WWE Champion. Despite being tense with Drew all night, he still tagged in Truth after he claymored MVP and helped Truth pull a splash on MVP and get the 1-2-3. Semi-intentional rhyme there. Sasha Banks and Bayley came out to celebrate their win at Backlash, and because it's Bayley's birthday, the Iconics came back out to get the answer to their challenge earlier for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Sasha and Bayley were beating around the bush until Billy and Peyton were mocking them, and Peyton slapped Sasha in the face, so a furious Bayley accepted their challenge for both of them. Ooh boy, we're back to this again. Asuka defeated Nia Jax to retain the Raw Women's Championship just in the nick of time because after Asuka got her foot under the rope for a rope break, Nia Jax got pissed and pushed the ref, which is a definitely no-no, and he was about to disqualify her, but Asuka didn't want to win that way, so she hit Nia with a surprise roll-up and the ref did the fast 1, 2, 3. The Christian-Orton match ended almost before it began. Once both men were in the ring, Ric Flair came out to dissuade Christian from doing this, but Christian wanted to go forward with it. Once the bell rang, Flair got him from behind with a low blow, and Randy finished him off with the punt kick and got the 1, 2, 3. And I swear I should go back and see how many kicks to the balls and arms to the balls and fists to the balls have happened since I've started this show, because literally my end tagline is kick butts, not nuts, and it seems like people are only hitting nuts more and more ever since the Ring of Thunder has become in this form. Ugh. The show ended with the medical staff getting the neck brace and gurney situated for Christian as Randy was yelling apologies at his unconscious form, 'cause the voice is in his head.
Hello. Have you ever wondered how much Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster sold Superman's rights to DC for? Or which popular football star was the Sam Wilson the Falcon's physical appearance based on? You can find all that and more at the History of Comic Books podcast, a podcast dedicated to the creators, events, history, and the companies that made the great comic book medium. Hosted and created by your friendly neighborhood JT Wheatley. Please give it a listen at iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and all our podcasting platforms. Thank you, and go ahead and enjoy yourself a good comic book.
On Impact, the North defeated Dez and Wentz of the Rascals to retain their Impact Tag Team titles. Then Dez and Wentz came backstage to find out someone attacked Trey. Nevaeh defeated Kimberly and had to hold Havoc back from Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz, who were in the audience, and threw their popcorn at Havoc and ran off. Rhino defeated Rohit Raju, and the Impact Plus moment of the week was from July 1st, 2015, when EC3, remember him, defeated Kurt Angle to become world champion. Now that's a full match I'd like to watch. Susie was wondering if she should go bad, since it seems like turning good just gets her walked on, and almost went with Taya Valkyrie but was stopped by Kylie Ray. Man, that first meeting between Susie and Rosemary's gonna be fun. Moose defeated Hernandez with a hidden backfoot nutshot and a spear to retain the TNA World Championship, and an interesting thing happened. Instead of going to Moose's theme after the victory, EC3's theme played for a few seconds before going to Moose's. Reno Scum defeated Triple XL and might be next in line to challenge for the tag titles, and might be the ones who attack Trey. Willie Mack and the Deaners have a 6-man tag match approaching, with Chris Bay and Johnny Swinger, who are looking for a tag partner. Johnny called someone who's on a 90-day no-compete clause, so he's still on the hunt. Next, we got a video of Deonna Purrazzo talking about her wrestling journey and evolution, followed by Knockouts champion Jordan Grace being interviewed backstage about her, and of course she was mid-sentence before Deonna jumped on her and tried to rip her arm off yet again. She is killing it so far in her second run on Impact. Then Ace Austin defeated Eddie Edwards in a street fight with the surprise assist of Madman Fulton, who seems to be the one who attacked Trey. The plot thickens.
Did you ever wonder why there are 24-hour kid networks? In my book, The Best Saturdays of Our Lives, I write about how Saturday morning became a competitive business and the proving ground for what would become the 24-hour kid network. My book covers the big bang of the 1960s explosion of high ratings to the early digital age of Saturday morning's last hurrah, the 1990s. You can purchase my book by going to thebestsaturdaysofourlives.com, and I will ship you a signed copy.
On NXT, Imperium defeated Breezango, who came out to the ring as Emporium, with their names as Marsupial and Fabio, in the best mocking ever, with a remix of Imperium's theme that just slaps to retain the NXT Tag Team Championship. At one point, Indus Sher came out to seemingly disrupt the match, but were stopped by Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. While the Velveteen Dream was being interviewed by Tom Phillips, Dexter Lumis dropped a drawing on Dream's couch of Lumis and Dream as tag team champions. The Dream declined because he's a solo act, but it's not a bad idea at all. Damian Priest defeated Killian Dane, say that 5 times fast, despite Priest's lower back injuries being super aggravated. Next, we had Aaliyah versus Xia Li for the 321st time in the last year, and I was wondering why until Aaliyah spotted a drunk Robert Stone just laying against the wall, who has been an absolute mess since Chelsea Green fired him, and she pulled him to ringside and the match was underway. Then Stone got up on the apron and just straight up barfed on the mat, which allowed Aaliyah to surprise roll up Xia Li and get the win. So this team might actually work somehow. Adam Cole and Bobby Fish decided to get Roderick Strong professional help within the Undisputed Era by taking him to Kyle O'Reilly disguised as a therapist. They tried a Rorschach test on him, but all he saw was Dexter Lumis and the trunk Lumis stuffed him in. They took him outside to their car so he could face his fear with their trunk, but he ran off. Later on, Adam Cole was being interviewed about Scarlett's warning at the end of last week, but Keith Lee came along and said she was right, but it's gonna be Keith that takes his NXT title. Then he broke her hourglass, which I gotta say, I have all the love and respect for Keith Lee. But has he seen Karrion Kross and Scarlett? Sexy, scary, heavy metal apocalypse? Breaking that hourglass probably marked him too. Damn, Keith, come on. Next up was basically a summit of top NXT guys in the ring, as Adam Cole, Keith Lee, Johnny Gargano, and Finn Balor were all arguing amongst themselves on why they would be the greatest double champ. Then William Regal got on the screen and booked for next week a triple threat North American Championship match between Keith Lee, Johnny Gargano, and Finn Balor, and the winner of that match is not only North American Champion, but will face Adam Cole on July 8th in winner take all match. Wow, this summer got spicy. Also, don't forget, July 8th is night 2 of Fyter Fest in the AEW world, so woohoo, exciting Wednesday night wars. Candice LeRae and Mia Yim brawled yet again down a hallway after Candice started yelling at Keith. Then Dakota Kai defeated Kaden Carter. Then we cut to the broken hourglass being filmed in a black and white filter with a jumping frame like the old silent films, and it was being inspected by Scarlett. Then Karrion Kross's shoe stepped into view. Damn it, Keith, I told you, man! I told you! Bronson Reed defeated Leon Ruff, and holy crap, Reed is not a small dude by any stretch, and he did a splash from the top on Ruff. Then he got on the mic and called out Karrion Kross for a match next week for some payback. Hey, you can have those problems. Then Damian Priest discovered someone slashed his tires, and Cameron Grimes drove past laughing. Still the least dangerous thing that's ever happened in the NXT parking lot. Cruiserweight champion Santos Escobar came out with his associates Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde and introduced them all as El Legado del Fantasma. Then Drake Maverick came out for some payback and scrapped with all three till Escobar hit him with a Phantom Driver through a table. Oof. Sasha Banks and Bayley defeated Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart to retain the women's tag team titles, but give it up for Tegan and Shotzi, they kicked ass. Both of them will definitely be holding gold of some kind in the next year or two. While Sasha and Bayley were gloating in the ring, Io Shirai came out of nowhere and kicked their asses out. She's like some sort of Dark Guardian anti-hero now, and I am fucking here for it. On AEW Dark, Jurassic Express defeated Capital Vices and John Cruz. SCU defeated Peter Avalon and Brandon Cutler. Big Swole defeated Danny Jordan. Lance Archer defeated David Ali. Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss defeated Musa and Sean Dean. Lance Archer tried to come back out to mess somebody up for whatever reason, but Jake Roberts managed to reel him in. I guess more on that later. Brandy Rhodes and Allie defeated Red Velvet and Kenzie Page. And there was cohesion, but no cohesion among Brandy and Allie. Allie had an injured ankle for most of the match, so it was handicapped. Then Allie was okay and tagged herself in right before Brandy hit Kenzie with a spear, and Allie got the 1-2-3, and Brandy was not happy at all. Shawn Spears defeated Lee Johnson with a Scorpion Deathlock, and I guess Tully Blanchard's Magic Glove did something right, and there weren't even any Infinity Stones on it. Evil Uno and Stu Grayson of the Dark Order defeated Brady Pierce and John Schuyler. Jimmy Havoc defeated Griff Garrison. Penelope Ford defeated Skylar Moore, and Scorpio Sky defeated Robert Anthony. And on Dynamite, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page defeated the Nashville Nightmares to retain the Tag Team Championship. And yes, Allie came out towards the end, even though Dustin told her not to, so QT thought he'd get cute, pun not really intended, with some top rope shenanigans and fell on his face. This next one was interesting in every sense of the word. It was a match between Anna Jay, who is think Zatanna with auburn hair, who's a Georgia Bulldogs fan, so she's 100% Ring of Thunder approved, versus Abadon, and holy shit, I love dark supernatural characters like The Fiend and I guess Karrion Kross and Undertaker and Kane and all that, but Abadon is the most terrifying looking of all, like something out of a Japanese horror movie. Abadon defeated Anna Jay, then the Dark Order came out and delivered a manila envelope with I guess a contract to Colt Cabana, and then they picked up Anna and helped her to the back. But holy shit, Abadon is so awesome! MJF defeated Billy Gunn, then a big brawl happened ringside between MJF and Wardlow against Jurassic Express, and it took the whole roster to separate them. No sense of social distancing, but I guess if AEW tests everyone on the regular, then fuck it. Tony Schiavone, in an interview with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, who is still on her Rolls Royce, announced Penelope Ford will take on Hikaru Shida at Fyter Fest for the AEW Women's Championship, which pissed off Baker and told her driver to go, but Big Swole was in the driver's seat instead and took Britt God knows where. Also, Schiavone's in friendship timeout. Cody defeated Ricky Starks to retain the TNT Championship. Starks is a free agent and former NWA television champion, but the TNT Championship is even open to wrestlers outside AEW. I mean, obviously you won't see Roman Reigns or Randy Orton challenging, but it's always possible for anyone who isn't an obvious WWE lifer. And of course, after the match, AEW social media reported that Starks is officially all elite, so the whole free agent thing was a moot point. Little thing of interest before the match, Cody got on the mic and pointed out that when he was attacked by Jake Hager last week, neither his brother or any member of the elite, Matt Hardy's an ally but not in the elite, came to his side, so he was wondering aloud where he stood with those people. I feel you, Cody. If this is part of an upcoming heel turn for Cody, he'll probably be a most relatable heel. Young Bucks defeated the Superbad squad of Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc, and that exploded into a brawl between FTR and the Butcher and the Blade, who had been around the ring for the back half of the match. Britt Baker was found by her assistant Reba, I can't even remember her real name now, in the dumpster. She then rehired Reba and told her to call Tony Schiavone. I don't quite know if that means he's off friendship timeout. Finally, she promised to make Big Swole pay literally and figuratively. Best Friends defeated Les Sex Gods, Chris Jericho, and Sammy Guevara to maintain their #1 contendership. Afterwards, the cameraman on the ramp put the camera down while Jericho was in the ring and revealed himself to be Orange Cassidy. He hopped in the ring and let Jericho know how much he appreciated getting socked in the head with blood oranges. I mean, this man can do a Superman punch. This episode on NXT UK, this episode was just about Pete Dunne defeating Tyler Bate at NXT TakeOver Chicago on May 20th, 2017 to become WWE United Kingdom Champion, a reign that would last almost 2 years. And I want to take this spot to also mention last week in the wrestling world, many women in the industry have broken their silence against wrestlers who have sexually harassed and or abused them. It's mostly independent names, but quite a few come from NXT UK along with a couple from Impact and 1 or 2 from AEW. We'll stay tuned as events unfold, but the THUNDERverse commends everyone who has broken their silence, and for those still searching for the courage to break theirs, we stand with you the whole way.
You have 30 seconds to describe Thunder Talk.
It's pop culture.
With a twist.
It's music.
LGBTQ+.
And comedy.
Well, dark comedy.
It's nerd junk.
It's comic books.
Video games.
Conventions.
Yeah, nerd junk.
And social commentary.
It's woke, yo.
Yeah, and nerd junk.
Woke nerd junk.
Thunder Talk is all over the place.
Every place you want to be.
Thunder Talk is a proud member of the ESO Network. Find us at thundertalk.org and download us on all podcast platforms.
SmackDown started with the presentation of the Intercontinental Championship to AJ Styles, who wanted Daniel Bryan to wrap it around his waist and congratulate him. Bryan did both of those things and then got under AJ's skin by talking about what a fighting champion he'll be. Of course, AJ said he'll give opportunities to those he sees as deserving, not Drew Gulak, even though he pinned AJ 2 weeks ago. That's when new arrival Matt Riddle crashed the party, and wouldn't you know it, the face that runs the place was defeated by the bro who will run the show. In a non-title match, of course. Jeff Hardy had a sit-down interview talking about Sheamus and trying to put the doubt and darkness out of his head and that he's more resilient than ever. Shorty G was interviewed before his match with Mojo Rawley, and while he was talking, Mojo came up behind him and started silently mocking his height, but evidently Shorty has eyes on the back of his head because he hit Mojo with a surprise slap, and then won their match with a surprise roll-up. Double devastation! Next was Miz Tv, but before we got started, Miz and Morrison made up for Miz's oopsie during the Universal Championship at Backlash. Their guest was Mandy Rose, and after Miz and Morrison gave her a ribbing about the kind of friend she was to Sonya Deville, Sonya came out and told Mandy she was going to rip out her insides, so they had a brawl. Sonya escaped the ring, and Miz wouldn't let Mandy pass to pursue, so she slapped him in the face. Sasha Banks and Bayley were on commentary because they're brilliant at it, while the New Day defeated Lucha House Party because they're brilliant at that, and then Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura laid waste to them after beating them last week. Then the rest of the women's division were talking about what to do about Sasha and Bayley, and it's crazy seeing Naomi and Alexa on the same side. They also realized Nikki Cross had disappeared off somewhere. Sheamus accepted the fact that he is a bully, and next week he's going to toast Jeff Hardy, like with alcohol and such. Sasha and Bayley were still at the announce table and were stoked by the idea of a toast, and while they were talking about it, Nikki came out of nowhere right behind them and attacked Sasha and Bayley until Alexa came out to calm her down and possibly encourage her a little, but it just gave Nikki the space to hop in the ring and challenge Sasha to a fight. Sasha didn't want to, but Bayley accepted for Sasha to fight. Unfortunately, Sasha did get the win after hitting the Meteora that turned into a surprise-ish pin. Finally, we got a new Firefly Funhouse with Bray Wyatt speaking out for the first time since losing to Braun Strowman at Money in the Bank. He said in that time he's mastered resurrecting the dead, knitting, infiltrating reptilian strongholds, etc. Ramblin' Rabbit popped up to inform us he's just been thinking and mumbling about what happened at Money in the Bank. Braun came out to the ring and told Bray he is finished with him, he is done with that chapter, and Bray said he didn't lie about resurrecting the dead and they are done with that chapter. And then he turned into his original cult leader self, who's looking to get his crack at Braun. He ended it with telling Braun to follow the Buzzards and run before blowing out his lantern and going full vintage Bray, and yes, I'm here for it. This is like a freaking modern day Mick Foley if ever there was one. On 205 Live, Oney Lorcan defeated Chase Parker of Everrise, then Malcolm Bivens came out to distract Lorcan and Birch as Everrise attacked them from behind. Bivens then summoned Indusher, who finished them off. They are some big dudes though, and the show isn't called 305 Live, so what the fuck, man? Jake Atlas, one of the breakout stars of the Cruiserweight tournament, defeated Jack Gallagher to get his first win on 205 Live. This seems to be Gallagher's last match in the WWE, as he was released over the weekend over the hashtag speaking out I mentioned in the NXT UK segment. And that's the 1, 2, 3. Thanks for locking up with me in the Ring of Thunder. Kick butts, not nuts. Or hell, do it. Everybody's doing it every week this show's been alive, so But you know what? I'll stick by my words.